From helping children in Ghana get an education to our own education system here in South Carolina, I sit down one-on-one with Charleston County School Board member Priscilla Jeffery for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And listen to this interview later on iHeartRadio. Priscilla Jeffery.
Hi, how are you today?
Good, and yourself?
I'm great.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen you here on Quintin's Close-Ups.
I think maybe over a year.
Yeah. What is it like to be you these days?
Oh, well, I have 4 grandchildren. They're not here, though.
Okay.
The youngest one's 7 months. The oldest is 13. So I can't wait to get up north to see them again. Obviously, I'm on the school board and try to focus on that. And I also run a nonprofit in Nsawam, Ghana, West Africa, where we send 75 girls to school.
Let me start there because obviously it's CPAS Ghana, as you mentioned. It's a community partnership of
Aquapine.
So and it's focused on providing girls access to education as well as teacher training. What is access like for an education like for people there in that particular part of the world?
Well, so we send girls, we pay school fees, have a local seamstress sew uniforms because you have to have a uniform to go to school, and we buy the school books for 75 bright but needy girls in 3 of the poorest government schools, which is like a public school.
Wow.
And none of my schools have, well, they now have electricity.
Oh, thank God.
They're not my schools, they're their schools, but, and none have running water. And very few books and school supplies and overcrowded classrooms. But education is really valued, so the families and the teachers and all the adults in the community really value education. So when the kids do get to school, they're very attentive.
And I know that also you provide teacher training, and you know that they value education a lot. How do you train teachers there?
Well, I don't personally do it, but I've partnered with another organization called the Exploratory, and they do STEM teacher training for not only the teachers in the schools where we're sending girls, but other schools in the area. And so Connie Chow is the executive director. She's in Boston, Mass. She and I have worked together. And the other thing is, she's established science clubs for girls in the schools where we work. So all of the girls that we sponsor go to their science clubs. So that's how we kind of work together. And so we pay the fees for the girls to go to the science clubs. So they're all benefiting.
And you know, obviously here in Charleston, the STEM is a big thing, and so is that in Ghana.
Yeah. Well, it's starting to be. And actually this summer when I was in Ghana, some of the girls, which you can access, I think, on my Facebook page, some of the girls created a video to send to girls in North Charleston who are at a STEM summer camp, and to show what school was like in Ghana. And then the girls in North Charleston created a video and sent it back over to us. And I was over there so we could show it to each other.
Wow. And I know that obviously you just mentioned this, but we partner with other organizations to provide a holistic approach to community economic development in Ghana. What is economic development like now? What does that state in your mind?
Well, economic development there partially is the uniforms are sewn by a local seamstress. We try to keep all of our money within Nsawam so that every time money is spent, it stays in the community. We also buy all of our books and school supplies in Nsawam. We could go to the capital and get them cheaper, but we'd rather keep the money in the community. Mm-hmm. So that's one way. We work with, when I first went there, I sat down with all the local elders, queen mothers, chiefs, and asked them what they needed for their community. So that's kind of the approach that both Connie Chow and I have taken. And of course, education was top on the list.
What else are you trying to keep in that particular community?
Trying to keep?
Yes, ma'am, as far as the kids and their education.
We're trying to, well, one is a lot of the world is getting very small because of these things.
Oh, yes.
And so there's a lot of Western influence, but there's a beautiful culture there in the community. And so a lot of us who come from the outside and can really see this amazing culture are trying to, help the local kids and folks to appreciate their culture. And so I have also started a business called Bawami, which is means interdependence, and I sell locally made goods like these bracelets or this bag.
Oh, wow.
And I sell them here in Charleston as a way to a market outlet for the local craftspeople. And I also sell batik cloth made into products like computer covers.
Right.
And so that's how I see working with the local economy. They need a market.
Mm-hmm.
Local people aren't always buying these things, but other places people will buy these things.
Right.
And then also the proceeds go to support the girls' education.
Oh man, you talk about education. I got to talk to you about the state of education here. I know we were just talking about that off camera. Where do you see education in 20 years in this particular Charleston County?
That's hard to say, but I would like to, and I was an art teacher.
Oh, yes.
So I'm really about a holistic approach to education. If children or students feel safe within the environment of the school, they're more apt to learn. And so my approach is that we provide wraparound services for kids if they need mental health counseling or health information, or the arts, which I think are really important. I think we need to have kids learn critical thinking skills. Way in the past, we used to sort of feed kids information. Okay. And now it's really important, especially with these things, little computers in our hands.
Yes.
There's a lot of information that they need to kind of learn how to sift through to find what is actually useful and true, and how they can use to further themselves. Can they start businesses on those little things? So I really think critical thinking skills is really important. And of course, you need all of your basics, math and English and all that stuff. I also think that in the framework of all of that is kids need to learn where they came from, history, and they need everything. And I know we focus a lot on math and reading, right, which is a good thing. But in my opinion, kids need everything. And we also need to learn how to work together, get along together. I've always been into working with kids in cooperative groups, because as they grow older, we should be learning how to work together when they're young, so when we're older, we can work together better.
What information should I be sifting through when it comes to the Charleston County School District?
What information? We do have, it doesn't always get put out there, but we do have some really good programming going on. We are making some changes that I think are really beneficial. I do go into the schools, and I just was at Pinehurst, and I'm not going to remember the other name. But anyways, a new reading program that we're doing with kids, young children, in reading groups. We have the coaches in the schools. I was just there maybe 2 weeks ago, and I always find if 8 adults walk into a classroom and the students are still engaged, whether you're in the room or not, that they're really excited about the learning that they're doing. And so you will find those bright spots throughout the county of teachers doing new things, or doing what they used to do, but nobody ever saw what they were doing. We do have bright spots. And I'm really encouraged that we have moved to addressing the needs of the kids who, excuse me, formerly maybe have been left out. I know we're working really hard at that, and we are starting to deal more with the whole child. We have more counselors. We're also doing restorative practices in the schools as a form of dealing with conflict that might come up, either between student and teacher, teacher and teacher, student and student. And I think once you create that really safe environment, the learning is just going to, of course, be better.
You talked earlier about mental health. Where should that discussion go right now in Charleston County, in your mind?
Where should it go? We don't have enough mental health counselors in the schools. And I'm also all about prevention. If we teach kids if we find that kids aren't doing well, why? There could be a number of reasons why kids are not doing well in school. And it's not just because they're sitting there and they don't want to learn. They may have other issues that are going on outside of school. And so we do have more mental health counselors in the school. We don't have enough yet. But, and I think a lot of the violence that's happened in the schools, if we had addressed the mental health needs of those kids, I'm not saying it would have been prevented, but it could have been prevented if their needs had been met.
I know that you obviously you're staying as far as possible away from the whole school board issues right now. But what do you want people to talk about when it comes to Charleston County School Board? What should they know that we don't know? What's fact and what's fiction?
Oh, there's a lot of fiction. I think the board that we have right now is working pretty well together. We're right in the middle of the budget, and I don't really want to address that yet because we have another meeting on Monday. So we'll fine tune a little bit of, where we want the money to go. The budget that I've seen so far looks pretty good to me, that we're going to be addressing the needs of our students. I think if we could keep the school board discussions student focused and not adult focused, that we would be doing a service to the whole community. And I think we're doing more of that than when I first got on the board. I think right now we're working pretty well together. A lot of fiction gets out, and I can't even tell you why. I'm the only educator on the board, so sometimes it's incredibly frustrating to me that we are discussing things that maybe not necessarily be in the best interest of students, but we have an amazing staff down at 75 Calhoun Street we don't always hear that. And I know a lot of them, and I've sat in rooms with a lot of them because that's what I do. I go into schools, but I also meet with people downtown and go into meetings. They work so hard, and I know there's fiction out there that we don't care about a certain group of kids in this community. I haven't met one person down at 75 that feels that way. And a lot of them work way harder than they're getting paid for. And they work every day to try to make our school's a better place for kids. We have 85 schools, and it's 100 miles long, the district. And and that's, it's Allendale's really far up there, and I've been in Baptist Hill. That's really far down there. That's a lot to handle, and there's a lot that we need to fix and improve. And I think we're on the way. It's going to take a minute, and I'm sorry for the kids who are sitting in classrooms that aren't getting all their needs met, but I really feel like we're going in the right direction to addressing those needs. We have some great principals. We have some great teachers. In that chatter that goes on outside in the community, I think we forget to thank the principals, teachers, and the people downtown who are doing the best that they can. And having been a teacher, you very rarely hear the good stuff. You often hear criticism.
And I know somebody who's always getting criticism is Dr. Jarita Postway. I know you love her a lot. And I'm wondering, as we sit here right now, what do you want people to know about her?
She is a very quiet, gentle force, but I believe, and I've talked to her a number of times, that she has a good idea of what needs to be done here. She's been criticized very often, and what she says, and she said it many times, is when you change something, someone's always going to be upset. But if we leave it the way it is, someone's going to be upset. So she's really into instituting the change that will address the needs of all of our kids. And I don't know what went on before. I've only lived here 4 years. So and I always say, I'm not blaming anybody for the state of the schools when I got on the board 2 years ago. It just was what it was. And Dr. Postaway is trying to improve our schools. And I really believe she is. She's so quiet that you don't really know. She has hired an incredible staff downtown and in our schools. And sometimes people don't work out, and she deals with that too. But sometimes people do work out. And I think one of our weaknesses is we never let the public know who's doing what and all the great things that they're doing. And I'm not pretending that everything's working, because it's not. But we're working at it. And we have a number of staff downtown who went through this school system. They know this system, and principals, teachers. And they're all working together to try to improve it, and I don't really know why we get so much negativity about it, because that's what we're doing.
And I know that you basically said, hey, I was on the school board for 2 years. What is the biggest difference between 2 years ago and right now as you as a school board member?
Well, first of all, I had only lived here 2 years when I got elected. I have taught in Massachusetts, Vermont, and Colorado. And when I got here, there was so many deficits in the system. Again, I'm not blaming anybody, but that every day I'd be going, what? We don't do what? And we don't do that, or why aren't we doing this? And so I've had to really learn. I hadn't hardly been in any schools. I'd only been in a handful of schools by the time I got elected. So I didn't really know how things work. So really a lot of it was just trying to figure out, why aren't we doing this? And why are we doing that? And so I found the best way to do that was to start going into schools. I've spent probably the most amount of time in North Charleston High School. I heard things about North Charleston High School. I went in there. It wasn't what I had heard about. There's a fabulous principal. There's great teachers in there. Henry Darby's great. He's working with the community. He loves the kids. So that's not what you hear out in the public. And so I had to learn all of that. Now I feel like I have a little bit of a handle on what is and isn't going on. And I also know a lot of the people downtown and what they're doing. And if I listen to what the public was saying versus what I see, it's sometimes quite different.
You talk about downtown. What is your view of Burke High School and Stony Field right now?
Burke High School is not closing. I don't know where that rumor started. We were just told by Dr. Postlewaite last Monday it is not closing. I went to another meeting this week. People are saying, I don't care if they say it's not closing, it's closing. I don't know. If I don't know who knows, but it's not closing. So, and we're working on Stony Field, and I don't have a lot more information than that.
Okay.
But it's a beautiful facility. Of course, we need more students in there, and I know over the years they've been trying to figure out how to make that work. We're still going to work on that because it's a sad to have a building that's half empty, or any of our school buildings have them half empty. Why aren't people sending their kids there? That's something that we work on. And I think, with some of our schools, there's a past reputation that isn't actually true when you go into the buildings, be it positive or negative.
And let me get back to Ghana.
Okay.
What's your vision of Ghana, and particularly the schools and the girls in the future?
Well, I am getting on in years, so I didn't want to go and start a project that I would just go, can't do this anymore, and I leave, because that does happen quite a lot, and I don't think that's fair to anybody. So I'm trying, I'm always looking for that next person to take over the project. I haven't found that person yet, but I'm always open to it. I'm trying to, and that's part of the selling the goods, I'm trying to figure out a sustainable way to run the project where it becomes a Ghanaian project. And if that's to create markets here for Ghanaian goods, and then the money goes back there, then I always think in community development, you should try to create a sustainable project that doesn't always rely on someone from the outside to come in, that it's created within, which is why we spend a lot of money in that community.
Sure.
And I have a master's degree in community economic development.
That's
so, so that's my dream. It's what I'm still working on. That, and it doesn't have to be selling Ghanaian goods, but how do we create something within the community that generates enough income that then the community can take care of those girls? And it's, as the girls go to high school, then we start sponsoring younger girls. So we've had some girls, my organization's 8 years old. So we've had some girls for quite a few years.
What is that one success story that you can sit here and tell me about? What's that one person that's still in your heart and mind?
Of the girls?
Yes, ma'am.
See, I lose track of them once they've gone to high school.
Okay.
But I will say, we now have, so in Ghana is the English school system. So you have to test to get into high school, even if it's all public. And high school is now free there. So I don't have to pay, or my organization doesn't have to pay for high school fees and all that. So we just take girls through grade 8.
Okay.
Every single one of our girls has tested into high school. So I guess that's a success story.
So amazing.
Yeah. And so that means, and so, by the way, sometimes we buy the books for the girls and school materials.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes those are the only books in the classroom. So, or there's some raggedy books in the room and the teacher maybe can't teach chapter 5 because all the books don't have chapter 5 in it. It's really that kind of situation. And if I raise more money, I would buy books for the whole school or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it could be bigger than it is. It's just my organization, because I do so many things,
yes,
this is what I can do. 75 girls is what I can do with the money that I raise. So if it was bigger, or if someone wanted to partner up or whatever, wanted to make it bigger, it could be bigger.
What's your website?
www.cpasghana.org.
Cool. And I'll put that up on YouTube as
Okay.
well, and the app as well. Well, Priscilla Jeffery, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you so much. It was good to talk to you.
Likewise, always. Yeah.